Welcome back everyone, and today I don't just have one, not two, but three models to review for you, and of course those are the three Alaska honoring those who serve, two Gemini Jets model and one NG model. Now you might be wondering, why did I get all three special livery aircraft? Now, first of all, I like the livery, I like what it stands for, and also, you might not know, but I actually have some relatives living in the United States of America, and two of my cousins there actually serve in the United States military. So I went out and bought the first two models, the 737s, and then from my friend Louis I got the last model, of course the Embraer, and the feeling getting that collection completed really felt like Thanos getting his last Infinity Stone. It was such an amazing feeling to have this livery collection completed. Now this intro was long enough, so without further ado, let's jump into the first review. Of course, this is the Gemini Jets 737-900, released all the way back in 2017. As usual, we'll start this review by looking at the box, and of course we get the regular Gemini Jets box, blue blocks with a image of the aircraft on the front, of course also the Alaska titles. You can then open up the box, which is pretty cool. You can see the airplane model and some very interesting information about the aircraft. On the back you get your usual Gemini Jets stuff. The box, usual Gemini Jets box, I really wish they would have done something more interesting for this special livery like NG models did, as we will see later on in this video. So for that reason I'll give it the usual score of 3 out of 5 for the general Gemini Jets box. Next up, of course, we're going to take a look at the mold. Now this is my first Gemini Jet 737-900, and looking at the nose, it's quite alright. It could be a little bit more pointy, and the cockpit windows are maybe a little high up, but other than that, the mold looks very nice. Engines could be a little smaller, I guess, but nothing major. The angle of the wing, good. Now the split scimitars are a little bit too big, but once again, nothing major in my opinion. The back of the aircraft looks good. The tail, I have absolutely no complaints there. Looking at underneath of the aircraft, once again, pretty good. Now the front landing gear doors are a little bit too big, but I'm gonna take off a point on for that on the landing gear, not the mold. Other than that, really not many complaints. I'll take off 2 points for the too big winglets and the nose that's not quite perfect. So 8 out of 10 for this mold. Moving on to the landing gear. Now, as I already said, the front landing gear door is a little bit too big, but other than that, the gear actually rolls quite nicely for a Gemini Jets model. Detail also looks good, the size, everything is correct there. So the only complaint I really have is the front landing gear door that's too big. Other than that, very nice landing gear, taking off 1 point, so 4 out of 5 for the landing gear. Last but not least, I'm going to take a look at the quality and printing on this model. Now the livery itself is represented fairly nicely. Now the stripes on the engine could have been printed a little bit better in my opinion, and a little bit more gold instead of yellow. Other than that, detail is alright. It's nothing, it's not excellent, but it's not bad either really. The underside of the aircraft also looks pretty good. Again, could have been a little bit more detail printed on, even like on NG models for example, but no major complaints. Gonna take off 2 points because it surely is not perfect, so 8 out of 10 I think is a fair rating for the quality. Now let's look at every single score once again to determine the final rating. For the box we had a 3 out of 5, mold was a 8 out of 10, landing gear a 4 out of 5, and quality another 8 out of 10, adding up to a total of 23 out of 30, giving the model its final score of 7.5 out of 10. Moving on to the second model, of course the Embraer ERJ175. This model was released earlier this year by Gemini Jets, and believe it or not, this is actually the first Gemini Jets regional that I review on this channel, so I'm super excited. Let's go. Once again, we're starting off by looking at the box, and this is basically the same box, just with the Embraer ERJ on the front instead of the 737-900. course, you get the same nice features like the information on the inside and a look at the model. Other than that, it is the usual Gemini Jets box, and as I already said, I wish they would have done something special with the design, especially for this nice livery. So once again, 3 out of 5 for this box. Next up is the mold, and I have to say I was impressed by this mold. Now the nose, honestly, could be a little bit more pointy, but really very nicely done. Other than that, the engines are nice and small, the correct size. The only major problem, of course, is the wing flex. It's not as bad as I thought. It looks way worse on pictures than it does in real life. Also in the video, I think in real life it actually looks pretty good. The tail of the aircraft also looks very, very nice. Now, what really surprised me is the amount of detail on the underside of the aircraft. Gemini Jets really did a good job, and I have a few other regionals by Gemini Jets, and I have to say that's where they excel. The small models, the regional ones, that's where they're usually very, very good and better than any other model airplane company. Yeah, just amazing mold, and I have to give it a 9 out of 10, taking off 1 point for the wings because that really isn't that good. Then the landing gear once again really impressed me. The main landing gear looks pretty good. It rolls nicely. The front landing gear does not roll, and that was a good decision by Gemini Jets because it is very tiny but still very nicely detailed for such a small model. Absolutely amazing. I love it. I don't think they could improve on that. In fact, I think this is a perfect 5 out of 5 for the landing gear. Very nice job by Gemini Jets. Then for the quality and printing on the model, once again, the livery is done very nicely, colors very accurate once again. Now the yellow / gold on the engines looks a little bit better on this model actually, still could be a little bit more gold in my opinion. Other than that, livery really looks nice, but what really impressed me, the detail on the underside of this model. Now this is a tiny model, and it's just incredible what amount of detail Gemini Jets was able to print onto such a small, delicate model. Absolutely amazing. Gemini Jets, really good. Now one engine is not fitted that well, so I'm taking off 1 point there. Then looking at the tail, you can see that the color of the tail is a little brighter than on the other two models, and I was like, oh no, Gemini Jets messed up the colors there. But I looked at the real aircraft, and the ERJ actually has a brighter blue on the tail, so good job Gemini Jets for representing that on this model. Very nice for the quality, build quality also very nice. Only one engine that's not fitted that nicely, so 9 out of 10. Very good job once again, Gemini Jets. So let's give the model its final score. For the box we had a 3 out of 5, mold was a 9 out of 10, landing gear 5 out of 5, quality 9 out of 10, giving it a very solid total of 26 out of 30, of course giving it its final rating of 8.5. The last model, and also the newest one, is the 737-800 by MG Models. This model was only released a few months back, and yeah, let's get into this final review for this video. Let's go. So the box, now I said this box looks way better than the Gemini Jets one. You have your stars and stripes. It doesn't get more patriotic than that. Also the logo of the airline in the right lower corner. Another image of the aircraft on the side and on the back, basically the same as on the front. The only thing I wish there was on this box was some more information about the aircraft like Gemini Jets does. That would really make this box perfect and very fitting for this livery, but without it I have to take off 1 point. Still very good, 4 out of 5. Moving on to the mold, you know, the NG 737 is one of the best out there. Just look at nose. Nose is very good. Only the cockpit windows are a little bit too high up. They should be a little lower, but other than that, really nice. Yeah, the engines are a nice shape and size. The wings are angled correctly, and the split scimitars are actually the right size. Looking at the underside of the aircraft, once again very nice detail. You even have that off-centered antenna underneath the wings, which looks absolutely amazing if you ask me. Yeah, very nice mold. The tail looks very good as well, no complaints there. Once again, I just hope they would update the nose, it would make this mold perfect. But like this, I have to take off 1 point, still very good, 9 out of 10. Now the landing gear is a category where NG models usually does very well. Once again, landing gear looks very good, they all roll very nicely. Once again, like on the Gemini jets, the front landing gear doors are a tiny bit too big, not as extreme as on the Gemini jets, but a tiny bit too big, and the front landing gear a tiny bit too short, so I'm taking off 1 point, still very good though, 4 out of 5 for the landing gear on this model. Last but not least, as always, the quality and printing on the model. And the printing, the livery looks very good. Build quality is absolutely amazing. With most NG models it really is. The livery, the colors are correct. Like on the Gemini jets, no complaints there. The only complaint I have, like with many NG models, is that the printed detail, like nose cone, is a little bit too thick. They could have been printed on thinner, like for example Gemini jets does the lines a little thinner, which I like better. Underside of the aircraft, there is nice detail printed on there, nothing wrong there. Yeah, the colors, everything seems correct. Build quality is good. Taking off 1 point for the lines that could be printed a little thinner. If that was the case, it would be perfect, but with the thicker lines, taking off 1 point, still 9 out of 10. Very good job, NG models. So let's determine the final rating by looking at every single score once again. So the box was a 4 out of 5, mold a 9 out of 10, landing gear a 4 out of 5, quality another 9 out of 10, giving it the same total as the ERJ, which is of course a 26 out of 30, giving the model the final rating of 8.5. Looking at the leaderboard, I have to say the NG models is a tiny bit better than the Gemini ERJ, so I'm gonna give position 12 to the NG model 737-800 and position 14 to the Gemini Jets ERJ175. Both are very good models though. The older 737-900 by Gemini Jets did not score quite as high. Still gonna give it position 24. It is a solid model, I still like it quite a lot. So for my personal opinion on all three models, I have to say I recommend each one of them. They're all great models in my opinion, and if you have them all, it looks amazing if you put them in like a line. Yeah, absolutely amazing. I love the livery. I love what the livery stands for. And yeah, I really recommend those models. The Gemini Jet 737-900 might be a little harder to find nowadays, but still, if you can find it, I definitely recommend it. And yeah, that's all I have to say in terms of personal opinion. That was basically it for this very long video. For everyone who's still here, I just want to remind you that I'm gonna give away a 1:400 scale model for Christmas, so go ahead and look at my Instagram. There I explain on the latest post how you enter the giveaway. I just want to thank you very much for supporting this channel, and thank you very much for watching this entire long video. Really hope you enjoyed it, and have a great weekend. See you next time. Goodbye.